In this video, my 6th tutorial, I'll be creating a title template containing animated masks. I'll be using Title Pro 7 standalone to demonstrate the creation of this template. Masks can be any shape and their use can produce some interesting results which are only limited by your imagination. I'll be using my own design for a lower third in this example. Okay, here we are in Title Pro 7 standalone. I want to show you first what title I'll be designing. To do that, I'll need to open the library pane. And as I've said before, F4 will open that pane up. In the Project Templates section, I'll double click this folder here. And this is the one that I'm going to be designing. It's a simple lower third with two masks that expose the background and the text bilaterally. Okay, I don't need the library pane anymore, so I'll close that back down. I need to change these values. If they happen to be the same, that one and that one, then change the NLE one first, make it 10 seconds. This is 10 seconds at the moment, so I don't need to change that. So I'm going to change the titler timeline length to 5 seconds. I need to open this out, the timeline out to the full 5 seconds. I don't need the subtitle element, so I will delete that and drag this name element out to the 5 second mark. The name element is already highlighted. If it isn't, highlight it and go up to the text fit mode icon here. Click the down arrow and choose fit text to box. I'll explain why I've done this later. As you can see, the bounding box turns to orange. Now go up to the vertical alignment icon and click the down arrow and select middle. Now change the colour of the text to something other than white. Now that's opened on the other screen, so I'll just bring that over and select a green. Now I'll drag out this box to the desired length. So if I just drag the left hand side out to nearly to the frame markers and that side to about the same. Move the bounding box to the bottom of the screen where it's going to be shown. Right click on it and choose Align to Frame, Centering Frame Horizontally. That will lock this in the middle of the frame. Now go to the horizontal alignment icon, click on the down arrow and choose Center. That brings the text to the center of the box. Now you can choose the font and the size here if you want. I'm just going to leave it as it is as the default. I'm going to show you now why I changed the fit mode to fit to box. If I now put some more characters in this, Just keep doing it until I reach the end. You can see that the font size reduces. This is very handy when you want a fixed length lower third and you're not sure how many characters each lower third will contain. So if you choose this setting, the font size will accommodate the number of characters in the text variable. Just pull those back, see it grows till it reaches the size that you'd chosen in the first place. Now select Add Shape and choose Rectangle. That's not the way to do it. We'll edit and undo that. The reason why the rectangle occurred there was because I was inside the text element. I need to click outside the text element, then choose Add Shape, Rectangle. If you come down here and right click on it, select Rename, and we'll call that Background. Now use Alt and drag to drag that out equally as far as we think is necessary, and also Alt drag down to where we think that that will totally cover that name. Pull this rectangle down till it covers the name. Right click on it, choose Arrange Layers, Center Back. So that has sent this back and brought the name forward in front of it. Now I want to change the size of this so it completely covers the box, the text box. So if I select name there, I can see the text box there. Now this white rectangle is going to be the background, so I need to open that out. To do that, I need to select it, pull one side there and pull the other side there. Right click on it, select Align to Frame, Center in Frame horizontally. Now for now select the name again and look. Yes, that's covering that box totally. So if this box gets filled up with characters, the background will still be behind it. Now the next thing to do is to make sure that any lowercase descenders in this name, this variable, will still be within the bounds of the background. I'm just going to put some lowercase descenders in here. Okay, that will do. I can see that this isn't centered on this background at the moment. So what I need to do is move this up slightly. To do that, with it selected, go to the Global tab, and in the Y coordinates of the position, I'm going to just use these up and down arrows to bring it keep clicking off it just to check it. Okay, that might be a bit too far. I'm aiming for the same distance between here and here and there and there. So that's about it. I can now, if I want to, thin this box down, this background down. So I will select it, the element, and just Alt drag to bring it narrower. That looks okay. Now I want to make this background look a little bit fancy, so make sure it's selected, which it is. Go to the Style tab and select Image Video. That opens up a folder with textures. If it doesn't open the textures folder, you'll have to go and find the folder that you want that has the image in. So if I scroll down here and select Elegant Green JPEG, open. Now I will select the name element, the text element, and change the font color to something that will complement the background. Now in this case I'm going to use white. So if I use the color picker and choose something white, pick that. Well, that's not white. That should be 255. 255. So that's white. Next thing I need to do is open up the guidelines. So I need to choose this icon here, which will put the rulers on, the vertical ruler, horizontal ruler. If the guidelines aren't showing, which they should be like this, left click on the ruler and pull, and that will pull the guideline across. Same with the horizontal one. In this case the guidelines are already there, so I need to move this vertical guideline to the center there and move it right 10 increments. Don't need this horizontal ruler, so I will pull that out of the way. Now I'll go to Add Shape and choose another rectangle. Now this is the rectangle element, so I'm going to right click on that, select rename and call it left mask. It's worth pointing out at this stage that that shape can be any shape, even a shape that you've got in your library somewhere or in a folder somewhere that you need to use that is an abnormal shape. that can be used as a mask as well. Now left click and pull that down so that this middle handle is somewhere near the middle of this background. At this stage it doesn't need to be exact. Now with this rectangle still selected, indicated by the green bounding box, and this element highlighted, go to the Global tab and on the position X coordinate, left click on the value here and pull it right so that it goes towards the center blue line. Now my hands are a bit shaky, so if you get it to nearly where it is and use the arrows here, you can fine tune it to get it to match up with that line, which is about there. Now drag the handle, the left handle, out left until it just covers the background, which is about there. Now you may find that this right hand edge has just drifted away from the blue line. I can just tweak that a little bit to get it right. Click off it just to check. Yes, it's completely covered the background there, and that's up to the blue line. Select it again, grab hold of the top handle and Alt drag down. What you need to do is drag it down just far enough to cover the background. Now right click it and select duplicate. Change the name of this new element by right clicking, rename, and call it right mask. Now we need to go back to the top ruler, left click on the guideline and bring it back to -10. Now with this element still selected, go to the Global tab, left click and hold on the X position and move this over till the left edge marries up with the blue line, which is there. Now with this right element still selected, go to the Global tab unless you're already in it, and pull this down so we can see things, and click on Turn on Keyframing. That will place a keyframe on the leftmost end of the element on the timeline, and the keyframe will be called keyframe 1. Now I need to bring this playhead If you go above the element on the timeline, left click on the playhead, you will be able to drag it out to the 2-second mark. Now the next thing to do is to left click on the position X coordinate and pull it right till the white rectangle just clears the background there. You will see that another keyframe has been generated on the element timeline. Now with the right mask still selected, bring the playhead to the 3-second mark. With the global tab still open, go to the keyframe box and click the plus sign to add another keyframe. You'll see that keyframe has appeared on the 3-second mark. Next, go to the global tab again, right click on keyframe 1 and select copy. Now move the playhead to the 5-second mark and click the plus sign again. Now we'll drag the pause point to between the 2nd and the 3rd keyframe. Select play and check the operation of the mask. You notice the deliberate mistake. The mask isn't being brought back to the center, and the reason that is because I need to paste what I'd copied from keyframe 1 to keyframe 4. So I'll now do it again. Select copy, select keyframe 4 and select paste. So it now should operate correctly. Okay, that's working okay now. Now what we've got to do is do a similar thing with the left mask. Now with the left mask element selected, go to the global tab, we're already in it, and select turn on keyframing. That will add a keyframe at the beginning of the timeline. Move the playhead to the 2-second mark. Go to the X coordinate and pull this back so that it just clears the background. Now I want to get these reasonably the same. so that one mirrors the other. So I'll just tweak that a little bit so that it's similar to the right hand one, which is about right there. Now I need that to be in the same position at the 3-second mark, so I'll move the playhead over to the 3-second mark, go over to the keyframe box and click add. That will set a keyframe there. Now at the 5-second mark I need this mask to be back where it was at the beginning. So if I right click keyframe 1 and select copy, then move the playhead to the 5-second mark, click the plus sign to generate a keyframe at that position, right click it and select paste. So I can now, after it's rendered, I can now go to the beginning of the timeline, which is home. It would be if I selected the timeline, then play it through. So that seems to be working okay. Now I have to finish off the masks. So if I select the left mask, which is already selected, go up to the Effects tab, and in the blending mode options, click the drop down arrow and select mask. Now that's not what we want, so I click invert mask, go to the right mask, and in the effects panel, blending mode, click mask, then click invert mask. Click off the elements, then check that it works. Now that's working okay. The only thing wrong with that is that the transition between revealing the name and hiding it seems to be too long. So what we can do with that is to grab these keyframes and pull them back and say to about half a second, remembering that if you're in PAL land, these increments are NTSC increments. There's 30 of them. Do the same with this one. Drag it to the half-second mark. Go to these two and drag those back to about half a second. And the same with this one. Wait till it renders and play. Now that looks a lot better. And finally, you can alter the characteristics of the background by putting a drop shadow in or a outline or anything like that. Well, now you've created your masterpiece, you should save it as a template to the library. Open up the library with F4. And in the Project Templates section, locate a folder. This is my dedicated folder for my lower thirds. Double click that. By the way, if you haven't got a dedicated folder in your library, in your project templates, you can create one with this icon down here. Now I'm going to save this template with this icon here. Give it a name that describes what it is, so you can find it in future. I'm just going to call it temporary. That will place it down here in the library in alphabetical order. Phew, that was a long one. The whole operation isn't particularly a long one, but explaining it in detail is. With experience, you can mix animated masks in various ways to get some interesting results. As I said in the introduction, you're only limited by your imagination. As always, I hope that's been useful. Until my next tutorial, bye for now.